You know they were wrong for you. You still can't stop. You knew. You knew before anyone told you. You knew when they were inconsistent, when their warmth arrived without warning and disappeared the same way. When you found yourself adjusting your behavior based on their mood before they had said a single word. You knew when you started monitoring yourself around them, editing what you said, weighing how much of the truth was safe to share, performing a version of yourself, calibrated to produce the response you needed from them. You knew, and you stayed, and now they are gone. Or you ended it, or it collapsed under its own weight the way it was always going to. And you cannot let go, not the way you thought you would, not with the clean relief of finally being free of something that cost too much, not with the gradual loosening of someone who has processed what happened and arrived on the other side. They are still there, in the specific quiet of the morning before your mind fills with the day, in the songs that carry a particular emotional frequency that takes you back before you can decide whether to go, in the moments of genuine happiness that feel incomplete, in a way you cannot explain because the person you would most want to tell about them is exactly the person you are supposed to be done with. You have told yourself to move on. You have meant it. You have done everything you were supposed to do. Time, distance, new. People who are genuinely good for you, therapy, journaling, the deliberate construction of a life that has no architecture for them, and they are still there. Here is what I need to say before anything else. You are not weak. The inability to let go of someone who was wrong for you is not a failure of self-respect or a sign of damaged judgment or evidence that you are not capable of protecting yourself. It is something far more specific than any of those things. Carl Jung spent decades studying exactly this pattern. He documented it across hundreds of cases. He found it in the most intelligent, most self-aware, most psychologically sophisticated people he ever worked with. And what he discovered about why it happens is not what most people tell you. Stay with me, because the answer is in this video, and it is the only thing that will actually change this. First, I need to ask you something honest. When you think about them, what is the specific feeling? Not the memories, not the good times or the difficult ones or the particular argument that you have replayed so many times, that you have memorized every line. Underneath all of that, what is the feeling that the thought of them produces? Is it longing for them as a specific person, or is it longing for something they made you feel? Briefly, inconsistently, just reliably enough that the inconsistency seemed worth tolerating. Something that the distance from them has not produced in the same way. Something that you are not fully sure you know how to access without them. That distinction matters, because if what you miss is the feeling more than the person, then what you are carrying is not about them at all. It is about something the feeling represents, something older than this relationship, something that was waiting for the right person to arrive and activate it. And the specific reason you cannot let go has nothing to do with who they were. It has everything to do with what they reminded you of. Hold on, because this next part is the specific thing nobody ever tells you. Jung identified what he called repetition compulsion, the unconscious drive of the psyche to recreate familiar emotional dynamics, not because it wants pain, because it wants completion. Here is what that means in your life specifically. Somewhere in your early experience, before you had language for what relationships were supposed to feel like, before you had any framework for evaluating what love was supposed to cost, there was a pattern. A person whose attention or approval or love you needed was inconsistent with it, available sometimes and withdrawn at others. Warm in moments you could not predict, cold in moments you could not explain, and your developing nervous system, in the way that every young nervous system does when it is still learning what closeness looks and feels like, did not register this as damage. It registered it as definition. This is what love feels like. This is the emotional signature of being in genuine connection with someone who matters. The reaching, the uncertainty, the specific relief when the warmth returned, the specific ache when it withdrew. This became the template, not chosen, not conscious, not a decision you made, simply absorbed through the repeated experience of it. Before you were old enough to evaluate whether it was what love was supposed to be, And now, every time you encounter someone who produces the same frequency, the inconsistency that feels like aliveness, the reaching that feels like connection, the specific emotional temperature of someone whose availability cannot be counted on, your nervous system does not register a warning. It registers recognition, and recognition feels like home. Before you know a single fact about them, before they have done anything to earn the specific quality of pull they produce in you, the pull is already there. It arrived the moment your nervous system detected the familiar frequency, and it attached. Not to them as a person, to what they reminded the original wound of. This is why the pull felt so immediate, so certain, so different from anything you had felt before. It was not them specifically. It was the template, the original emotional blueprint of what connection feels like, recognizing itself in them, and deciding with the specific urgency of something that has been waiting a long time. This is the one. This time, finally. This is going to resolve. Jung called this projection, the unconscious process of placing the contents of your interior world onto another person. Before you knew anything about them, you had already placed something specific onto them. The hope attached to the wound, the specific and deeply unconscious expectation that this person who produced the familiar frequency, who activated the template, who felt like recognition before they had done anything to earn it, was going to do what the original source never did: be consistently available, stay warm without warning, make the reaching finally stop by becoming reliably there. And here is what makes this so specific and so difficult to break. The intensity you felt for them was proportional not to who they were, but to the age and depth of the wound they activated. The older the wound, the more thoroughly it was absorbed without being addressed. The more completely it became the definition of what connection feels like. The more powerfully someone who produces the familiar frequency will register, the more inevitable the attachment will feel, the more impossible the letting go will seem. Not because they are irreplaceable, because they are carrying the weight of something that predates them, an old hope that has been waiting for someone who looks like the source of the original pain to finally give it what the source never gave. Sound familiar? Because if it does, here is the specific thing you need to understand about why every attempt to let go keeps failing. You have been trying to let go of them, but the thing that is holding on is not holding on to them. It is holding on to the hope they represented, and the hope is older than this relationship. It is the specific and deeply loyal part of your psyche that has been carrying the wound and waiting for its resolution since the original experience that created it. And every time you encounter someone who produces the familiar frequency, that part attaches the hope to them. And when the relationship ends without resolving the hope, what you carry is not the loss of the person. It is the re-injury of the wound, the specific pain of having hoped again, having attached the old expectation to this new person, having waited for the resolution, and receiving instead the same conclusion the original experience produced. The warmth withdrawing, the consistency failing, the reaching not being met, and the wound going back to waiting, with the specific accumulated weight of every time it has waited before. This is why you are still thinking about them, not because they were uniquely irreplaceable, because the loss of them represented something much larger than one relationship. It represented the wound's most recent failure to resolve, and the specific grief of that, the grief of being this close again and watching it not be enough again. It is not the grief of losing a person. It is the grief of an old and loyal hope that keeps arriving and keeps being disappointed by sources that were never equipped to provide what the wound was looking for. Jung said the most important question is not why you cannot let go. It is what you are actually holding on to. And the answer to that question changes everything about the letting go, because if you are holding on to the hope that this specific person will eventually give you the consistency the wound has been waiting for, the letting go requires accepting that they will not, which is painful but manageable. But if you are holding on to the older hope, the one that was there before them and will be there after them, the hope that the wound will finally resolve in the way it has been waiting to resolve, then the letting go requires something more fundamental. It requires accepting that the resolution cannot come from outside, cannot come from the right person, producing the familiar frequency, but this time staying consistent, cannot come from finally finding the source of the original pattern and getting from them what was withheld before. The resolution has to come from inside, from the specific interior work of giving the wound what it has been waiting for, not through another person, through yourself, through the honest acknowledgement of what the original experience produced, through the deliberate and patient practice of providing for yourself the specific quality of reliable warmth that the wound has been looking for in every familiar frequency it has encountered, since before this person, since before the last person, since before the relationship that taught you this is what love feels like. Here is what that work actually looks like, not the abstract version, the specific one. The next time they appear in your thoughts, do not try to push the thought away. Do not distract yourself out of it. Do not perform the letting go by focusing on their flaws or the relationship's failures or the reasons they were wrong for you. Sit with the feeling underneath the thought for 30 seconds, not with them, not with the memories, with the feeling itself, the specific quality of emotional sensation that the thought of them produces, and ask one question. Where have I felt this before? Not in recent relationships, earlier, in the original territory. Where was this feeling first produced? Who created this template? What did I need from that source that was not consistently available? What did I learn to do with that needing? What did I learn about love from that inconsistency? And what has that learning been producing in every relationship since? This is the work. Not processing this relationship specifically, understanding the wound that this relationship activated, and beginning the specific and slow and genuinely transformative practice of addressing it, not by finding someone who finally resolves it, by recognizing that you have everything needed to begin resolving it yourself. Jung called the outcome of this work individuation, the process of becoming whole, not through finding the right person to fill the wound, through integrating the wound itself, through acknowledging what it has been carrying, giving it the honest attention it has been looking for in every person who produced the familiar frequency, and slowly, imperfectly, with every honest moment of genuine self-regard rather than performed self-sufficiency, reducing its grip, not by eliminating the capacity to feel deeply, by redirecting it towards sources that can actually receive it, the people who do not produce the familiar frequency, who do not activate the template, who feel less like recognition and more like unfamiliar calm, who are consistent, not because you are performing correctly, but because consistency is simply who they are. These people will feel different, not wrong, different, quieter, less urgent, less like the specific electricity of the familiar pull. But over time, as the wound's grip loosens, as the template's authority over your nervous system reduces, what felt like quiet starts feeling like safety, and safety starts feeling like home, in a way the familiar frequency never could, because the familiar frequency was always the wound's definition of home, not yours. You are not someone who cannot let go. You are someone who has been loyal to a wound that has been carrying a hope for a very long time. The letting go is not the loss of something precious. It is the beginning of something the wound has been preventing. Your actual life, with your actual depth, directed toward people and connections and experiences that can genuinely receive what you are capable of giving, without the reaching, without the monitoring, without the specific exhaustion of loving someone whose consistency cannot be counted on. You are capable of that. The wound has just been choosing for you for long enough. It is time to choose differently, not by finding someone new who produces a different frequency, by finally giving the wound the one thing it was always actually looking for, your own honest attention to what happened, and what it has been doing, and what becomes possible when you stop asking someone else to resolve it and begin doing that work yourself. If this name the specific thing you have been carrying without a precise name for, hold that recognition. It is not abstract psychology. It is the most accurate map of your interior life that has ever been offered to you. Share this with the person in your life who keeps returning to someone they know is wrong for them and cannot understand why. They need to hear that the inability to let go is not weakness. It is loyalty to a wound that has been waiting for a different kind of answer. And subscribe, because the next video is specifically about what that answer looks like and how you begin giving it to yourself in the daily ordinary moments that actually produce genuine change